right, let's just get our AV set up here a little bit. Hopefully the display, yes. All right. So the title of this talk is JavaScript minus JavaScript, and the subtitle is plus Star Wars. There is a reason for this. The reason is that the original version of this talk was delivered at the Brooklyn JS meetup on the night that The Force Awakens came out. And I didn't want to choose between the two things that I really love, which are good websites and Star Wars. So I didn't. I gave the talk and went to the movie opening. My name is Sarah Saltrick Meyer. That's my Twitter handle. You can hit me up if you want to fight me after seeing this talk. I work at a company called Rent the Runway in New York that basically is a fancy dress rental business. It's a great gig. I like to also sort of use Star Wars as an example here, because Star Wars universe is a little bit crazy. They have interstellar travel and human cloning, but not Wi-Fi or birth control. I mean, it's fictional. But the theme tonight is I think the theme as every single talk that I've ever given, every single talk that I really like to hear, which is you have power and you should use it for good. And that, I think, is also the theme of the Star Wars universe. If you have unlimited cosmic power, don't fuck it up. And on that note, I would like to give it over to Yoda with some inspiring words of wisdom.
Once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny.
Yeah. There's a definite moral of the story there involving tech debt and also all the decisions that you make. Anyway, so I am here today to ask you guys a question. Does your website, the website that you probably work on day in, day out, does it work without JavaScript? And we are going to go right into the public shaming part of the talk. I'm dressed as a Sith, guys. Like, you didn't think you were going to get out of here unscathed. I don't know if you may have done this. Some people like to do this all the time. Do you see this? Do not allow any site to run JavaScript. Oh my God. What's going to happen? We're going to open up a new tab, and we are going to go straight into volunteers. Who wants to tell me a website? Let's see what happens. Oh, the New York Times. Okay, nice. Actually, I know that you guys are pretty good at this. Wow, it's beautiful. You might even say it's a better experience because all the ads are gone. And that would certainly be a big clue to you as to why some users might be doing this crazy thing about turning JavaScript off. But can I have another one? It could be your website, a website you want to shame. Yes, right there. Developer.mozilla.org. Okay, that sounds like a pretty interesting one. Developer.mozilla.org. Yeah, I don't want to go to the JavaScript reference. Okay. Yeah, this looks pretty good. I like it. I can get to the things that I want to get to. If I want to get to a page, yeah, everything is totally well worked out here. Okay, we're going to do one more. You right there. What's that? Lifehacker. Okay, good. Yeah, I like Lifehacker. I learned to fold some stuff on there once. Learned to fold my Sith robes. Yes. Okay. Well, all the videos are dead, and so are a lot of the images, but, okay. Well, there are some P tags on here, which are still working, so, I'll take it. We're gonna give, grade, C for effort. Though, of course, when you're public shaming other people, you should sort of look at yourself first. And I can tell you for a fact that renttherunway.com is not a site that has historically worked without JavaScript enabled. When I came to the company that my first project was to build one of these. If you ever have worked on an e-commerce site, this is a pretty common scenario for you. You have a page where you want to display a lot of products to people and let your users filter them with something like this that probably looks like a form. And one of the sort of principles that me and my great fellow developers came to when we started working on this project was that we wanted it to work without JavaScript enabled. And I want to give credit to the two guys who worked with me on this product, John Holden and Will Summers, because they really informed a lot of my thinking about this. You know, even if you're evil, you can give credit to the people who have helped you out along the way. So we, you know, I'm dressed up like a Sith Lord right now. I'm dressed up like Darth Vader. But realistically, I'm more like one of these guys here, just a grunt, just a technician, trying to make the best choices that I can for the users who I know are out there. You know, maybe that's us on the Star Destroyer, chasing down new markets and new business models, trying to get them. You know, and even when you're on sort of a terrifying Star Destroyer going very fast across the universe, you still can hold to some principles of an earlier age that will let you make better websites. So this is something that I have seen sometimes out there in the wilds of the universe. Some very bad things, like, oh, HTML5 video tag is not working. That's okay, I kind of expected that. Let's go to, all right, this is a video of a website. It is in fact the adidas.com website. Here are some cool sneakers. Watch that left-hand side, or right-hand side there. Yes, somebody, to style this scroll bar, re-implemented scrolling on their page using JavaScript. Now, do you think the spacebar works to scroll here? Do you think that a screen reader is going to be able to handle this? Do you think that a touch device is going to be able to handle this? The answer to all of these questions, my friends, is no. None of this is going to work. Ignoring accessibility is a sure path to the dark side of the force. You know, so one of the dangers here is that you have a product manager or a designer who tells you they want something. You know that you can't do it with native HTML elements, so you try to implement sort of well-supported behavior yourself. Now, perhaps you work at a company that has the resources of a browser developer, but I think the answer to that question is probably no. You do not have the resources of a company that makes browsers. And so probably you are better off delegating some of that work from yourself and your team to the native web. One thing that was a huge problem on our renttherunway.com was that we had a lot of modals. And we had a lot of things that could only be done on our site in modals. They just didn't, if you wanted to do certain things that we consider to be very important, you had to go there with, like this. Let's see. So this was about creating a short list, something where you could, let's watch that again. So this was something that we thought was very important, letting people create lists of products that they wanted to rent. This was the only way to access this page, was to go to this particular other page, click on this little form, and have it slide to the side. So if you wanted to send somebody to this page from a link in an email, pretty common use case for an e-commerce site. If you wanted to use that route for something, you could not do it. Good routing is your only hope of a maintainable website. If you ever switch code bases, but nobody switches code bases ever. Nobody ever moves from Backbone to React or anything like that. you're going to find that having URLs to point to functionality is the most maintainable way of getting there, again, both for yourself and your users. In fact, you might say it is your
Help me,
only
Obi-Wan
hope.
Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Yes, just as for Princess Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi appears to be her only hope, URLs are definitely your only hope. Basically, if you don't have a URL to something, then the only way to make it work is to spin up an entire instance of your JavaScript app and have it execute error-free, which is an increasingly bad bet to make as legacy code degrades, as it always does. Everything rots. So if you have a site that only works without JavaScript, then
I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
thank you. Yes, that is indeed every single time that somebody said they had a bad feeling about this in Star Wars. Words to live by. Yes, indeed, having JavaScript only functionality is indeed like being cast into a Sarlacc pit to be digested for 1,000 years. Unless you were in fact Boba Fett, who gets out via the power of being very popular with the fans. You're probably not very popular with the fans. Sorry. So there's another sort of user of your website besides a human who you might sort of cast a thought to. Your website is definitely used by people pretty frequently, but it is also used by robots. And they just don't understand human behavior. So you, web crawlers that are building up your SEO rank, those are robots. And another set of robots are the robots that crawl your site for acceptance tests. If you are not supporting them, they will punish you in a variety of ways. If you have a functionality that is not easily accessible that is not easily accessible on first load, you're going to have to put in a lot of waiting. You're going to have to put in the extremely. Has anyone ever tried to do like SEO support for a single page backbone application? Like raise the unhappy hand. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, me too. It was rough, very rough. Also, so you know, if something goes wrong with your server-side code, say there's a 500, you got some sort of bad input. Generally, you find out about that immediately. Maybe you have your Nagios alerts, maybe you have your Splunk alerts. You're going to get some kind of messaging about that immediately. If your users have a JavaScript error because of your code, do you know about it? How? Like, literally, how? You may think that, you know, by paying a lot of money for that New Relic client-side monitoring, you have taken care of that problem. But if all JavaScript execution on the page has been blocked by another JavaScript error, how are you going to find out that something is going wrong there? Yeah, I just don't believe that this works. Darth Vader has something to say about this.
Lord Vader, the fleet has moved out to flight speed and we're preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral. Captain Piet.
Yes, my lord.
Make ready to land our troops beyond their energy field, then deploy the fleet so that nothing gets off the system. You are in command now, Admiral Piet.
Thank you, Lord Vader.
Yes, being forced to thank my bosses when they strangle my coworkers is often how I feel when, you know, the product managers are talking to me. But so how do you actually get here, though? How do you get to a site that works without JavaScript in a universe where a lot of us are using very complicated front-end frameworks to actually render our content? We're no longer in a world where you have like an HTML file that is actually being served up and then just operated on kind of lightly by you know, sort of jQuery bound to specific elements. Probably you're writing something like Ember or Angular or React, where all of the rendering of your markup is being handled by JavaScript. Well, this was the situation that we were in as well. But fortunately, the server-side rendering community has come extremely far recently. I know that there's great support for it in React. It's a commonly done thing. I believe that Ember also supports this now too. And basically, what you do is you have a little node process that you spin up that does whatever that rendering would have been in the client side, and you just do that on your server side and render that markdown into your HTML templates. And so one of the clever things that you can do here, and this is a little bit of live code, if you want to maintain the benefits of a single-page application where you don't do a full reload on every page, you can just kick off like incremental changes with XHR requests. And so we're on React, so we just send back the updated initial state of that React component as a JSON object if it's an XHR request, and otherwise we sort of wrap up that initial state in Markdown and send that entire HTML file down the line. It works well. Yeah, you can be a hero, not a villain like me, and by adopting server-side rendering in your project. So this is the New York Times, which is a great site, I think, but has some annoying aspects. Sorry, New York Times in the front row there. Do you see how long I had to wait for that content to load in? And do you see the way that the like interesting links down here that I want to click as a user moved down? So if I were a very fast-fingered user, I would be in danger of accidentally clicking on the ad rather than the link. Well, definitely. So guys, do you all know the most important thing about Star Wars? It's that Han shot first. Your users want to move that fast. They want to click before the page is ready. If you do not have fully functioning links in the place that they expect them to be by the time that they can see them, then they are going to get bad experiences where they click the wrong thing. And then they will be frustrated at you because they wound up on, let's see, what was that? I think it was like the Carol, yes. They ended up on a website for Carol with Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara. Yeah, I bet it was a good film. I heard it was great. But also, it's not an article about the Fed raising interest rates for the first time since the financial crisis, which is where I'm at, basically. So this is kind of a list of recommendations here for common things where we use JavaScript, but we should always have fallbacks. If you have infinite scrolling, please keep a more link. If you have a modal, please back it up with a URL. You know how Twitter switched to modals for everything, which sucked, but they at least kept URLs so you could still link to the tweet? Copy paste is your user's very best friend, and you want to respect that. If you have forms, please don't just make that div soup with some AJAX enabled. Remember to keep your HTML semantic, and for forms, keep their method and action attributes, and ensure that you'll get a response. Never re-implement functionality that browsers implement better than you could. And this goes from things like the scrolling example I showed earlier to stuff like the details tag can save you from having to do a sort of JavaScript show hide situation. What's that? No, I thought somebody yelled at me. Maybe your acceptance tests also suck because everything is implemented with AJAX, and you have to wait a million years for stuff to load. You have to put in a lot of sleeps or something. This is something that is new since I even wrote these slides. We've started doing an acceptance test run that goes with JavaScript disabled. And right now, everything fails pretty much, except for some of the very newest stuff on our site. But it is a good bit of insurance for people with older browsers that may not have the JavaScript support that we expect to make sure that they can still give us their credit card numbers, because that's what we want, their credit card numbers. Evil, like I said. You have one job as a web developer. I don't care if your thing says software engineer on your title. Mine does too, but I am a web developer. And my job is to render comprehensible HTML quickly. And JavaScript is not the way that you are going to get there. JavaScript is, in fact, sometimes a barrier to you doing that. Han Solo is mad at you. Don't make him mad. He's so beautiful. Disregarding all of this advice is a sure path to the dark side of the Force. This is my one TFA GIF. I mean, actually, the dark side is looking kind of cool here, I would say. So maybe you're into that. Maybe you're a content site and you think that people should not be able to browse your site without JavaScript. Maybe you are a site that where you really actually want to keep out people who have bad browsers, old browsers. Maybe you know that all of your clients are internal tool users, and you know that every single one of them is on a late model, like Apple MacBook, and is using an up-to-date version of Chrome. If so, lucky you. Lastly, I would like to remind you that none of this means that you should not have JavaScript on your site. None of this means that JavaScript is not the unique solution to problems that it is. JavaScript is the only tool that can do what it does. But you have a responsibility to deliver the main functionality of whatever your page does without JavaScript. Progressive enhancement will get you very, very far.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Oh, the acting is so good. Yeah. So mobile first, really, a principle that we hear bandied about a lot. Probably, you have partial adoption of it at your company. It would be same as mine. But it's still a principle that by just thinking about it, even by just paying lip service to it, you will end up with better outcomes for all of your users and also for your developers. And another principle that I think I'd like to add to that is JavaScript last. Mobile first, JavaScript last. You will find that you will be the person who thanks yourself. And I thank you guys for all listening to me rant about JavaScript and Star Wars, my two favorite topics in the world. Reach out to me on Twitter if you think any of this is stupid, or if you want an explanation of how to write isomorphic web apps, because it's not capable of being covered in a 25-minute presentation. Thank you.
Woo!